Hi, this is Chris. Welcome to 10K Heroes. Open your heart and help in any way you can. If you love Adventures in Odyssey, then just show that heart that you have for kids and people that need you. We all love you and we know what great people you are. Just contribute any way you can, even if it's a penny.
The Dare to Dream initiative with the Leukemia Lymphoma Society is the cause we're supporting. And what is really amazing, there's two really amazing things. So Dare to Dream is specifically focused on this new technology, a CAR T cell treatment that will literally genetically target a cancer inside a kid, and it'll just go in and eat the cancer from a pill, right? And they were
Wow.
going
Oh,
to clinical trials.
man.
It's not a theory. And so the science is one thing. So what if you didn't need pokes anymore? You could have a pill. But also, Dare to Dream supports the family because what about that brother or sister? They are not going to soccer practices. They're not getting attention. They're not,
Right.
the disease has
Whole
sucked
family.
all the air and joy out of the family. And so really Dare to Dream is about that whole cohesive family. The Dare to Dream specifically is where we focus 10,000 Heroes in the Animation Heroes podcast and our 24-hour live stream, which this is going to be broadcast during, is all about specifically focused on that initiative, that program. They're solving problems the marketplace refuses to solve. Because there's not billions of dollars in it. So if there are billions of dollars in solving these problems, you better believe that it would be solved. And so Leukemia Lymphoma Society decided they would go after it to try to solve it. And when this opportunity came up to be a part of it, I reached out to Collette and we said, well, let's get together all the most fabulous people we know and the
us.
audience. Yeah, which is you guys. That's where you guys come in. And here we are.
Here we are.
Until I met you, Chris, last year, and Chris is now a veteran of 10,000 Heroes. You're a family member. I know all of you are, but when you started talking about Adventures in Odyssey, I'm a neophyte. I've been running behind the train trying to catch up, and I've been doing my research into it. I mean, you guys, this is such an amazing ride. I love everything you guys have done, and I think, are we at 37 years? Dare I date?
Yeah.
37
It's
years,
an
yeah.
incredible
right.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just want to hear
37
it
years.
all
Katie-
about it, guys.
Katie and yeah, you guys are part of the original, right? Chris and Katie.
Yeah.
You're the
We be
original
old.
ones?
We're old, all right.
Yeah.
And Marshall is our showrunner. That's
Yeah.
Marshall's writer, director. He's one of our heroes right there
A
too.
founding father.
Marshall,
Yeah.
how long have you been part of Odyssey?
1992 is when I started, so that's 33 years.
Oh, that's
Okay.
pretty soon
Pretty
after we started.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I came on board in 94.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we never let you go. Never.
I've been here a
I
week.
never
but
wanna
it's
go.
going great
Guys,
so
it's
far.
a day. 2
You've
days.
been here a long time too, Jeff.
That is
And when
good.
Jeff started, the world exploded.
That's right.
It all changed.
Something happened.
Well, he has that effect. We do know that on everybody, on all of our hearts.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I just remember going down, the long dark hall of Salami Studio, and where you guys would always be, always there. I lived there at the beginning when we left Hanna-Barbera and we needed a place to find a recording studio,
Sure.
and they became our place. With Powerpuff Girls. Jess remembers those days, but I remember as long as I've been there, you guys have been there.
And let's shout out to Salami because they
Oh,
donate
no
the studio
kidding.
space as
Yeah.
well. So
Right.
Yeah, it's
Right.
been over.
the live
Mike,
stream's going to be
you're-
there.
been
And
over
they-
a
Legend
decade.
there. You're a legend there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised your picture's on the wall.
We were just there last week recording, so
Right? I love that. I love that there was always such a loving presence when you guys were in the booth, and I was, what is going on? I don't know anything. Oh, focus on the family. I knew all about that, and Dr. Dobson and all that. So it was like, but like Joe, we both kind of dove into it a little bit more of recently, and the beautiful segue, like I started to say earlier, of us fighting for kids, us giving energy towards the kids, making them a little bit more empowered and feel like they have some control, of which they really truly don't, nor do the parents. Usually the parent does, and the child trusts that. But in these circumstances, the whole family, as Katie said, the whole family.
well, I told you I have to leave a little before this ends, so I don't know if you're gonna ask us questions, because I have a couple questions for
Please.
you guys.
Let's
Ask.
go.
Well, okay, so I also lost a nephew when he was 2 years old from neuroblastoma, and I'm wondering if this research that you're doing will also translate to other types of cancers.
There's a lot of exciting science going on right now. I have
Yeah.
a niece who survived neuroblastoma. I'm quite familiar with that. The Leukemia Lymphoma Society is specifically focused on blood cancers and lymphomas, but each of these kinds of diseases has their advocacy and their group of people that are trying to solve it. I've been amazed as I've gotten into the science of it to see, there's different stages of clinical trials, different stages of science going on at any given time, right? So it's all moving forward. In fact, in our last interview, was it Christina Mazzillo was talking about, incremental, how we just have to keep pushing, keep
Mhm.
going down the track of these incremental improvements and pushing in the right direction until you get that breakthrough, right? And so, I think now that we're possibly focused, we're maybe losing some funding in this current climate of federal
Change.
cutting. Yeah, and so we're in a probably more important time than ever
Right.
for finding ways to keep things moving forward.
Right.
Hey everybody, I'm Jess Sarnell. I'm the voice of Luton Bassett on Adventures in Odyssey. And on Odyssey, I write a hero named Captain Absolutely. But did you know that you can be a hero too? Just go to 10kheroes.com and give generously to help wipe out childhood leukemia. If I could, I'd beat it up myself. See you later.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man. It's all steps in the right direction, right?
That's it.
That's
That's it.
fantastic. That's
I mean,
great.
at the end of the day, what do you want to be known for? It's like what gig is
Right.
this is the kind of stuff that you live and you change lives. It's like
Yeah.
this is the stuff that matters. I know everyone I'm looking at feels the same way. It's like there's nothing more important than saving somebody's life and making it an easier journey for them.
For sure.
What are you going to buy? Another pair of shoes?
Marshall,
You're going to
do
help
we
somebody's
have-
life.
Do we have an Odyssey episode that you can think of that would encourage people when they're going through this stuff? I was thinking of
No
Karen.
pressure,
I'm
Marshall.
not sure if that's an encouraging one or not.
Which one did you say?
Karen?
Well, Karen died in the episode, so I'm not sure that's a good one.
It happens. No.
Yeah.
And a
that
lot
is
of
Yeah.
people
reality.
take
I
a
mean,
lot
That's
of
the
comfort
reality.
from that one too.
Yeah,
I know.
it does. It is. It's a very it's a very sweet episode. It's a sad episode.
But it's a real.
But yeah, we've dealt with with sickness and death and a lot of it. A
And
lot of
addiction.
episodes,
I
yeah.
saw that you guys also you touched on addiction as well.
Yes, we
Yeah.
have.
Oh,
No,
Marshall, since you've been riding shotgun on this thing for so long, can you maybe some viewers that aren't as familiar with Odyssey, or can you how did it start? Were you there at the beginning?
I was no, I came in about 5 years after the show started. It started in 1987, and it was really because Dr. James Dobson was the president of the founder of Focus on the Family at the time, and he was challenged by a guest on his show to come up with alternatives to what he felt like were really some bad messages and that were coming from Saturday morning cartoons, just things that didn't share the values that Christians hold, and so and it wasn't enough to just complain about it. He was challenged to come up with an alternative, and so it wasn't necessarily his idea. It was the creators were Steve Harris and Phil Lawler, who created Adventures in Odyssey USA and then Adventures in Odyssey in 1987. And it was just it started. It was just a really simple show. It was a man named Mr. Whitaker owns a ice cream shop, and all these kids come to it, and he's a teacher and he was able to lead kids and teach them about biblical values and moral values. And it's exploded into a lot of things now. And you never know what you're going to get when you listen to Adventures in Odyssey. It could be a mystery, it could be a comedy, it could be a drama.
You could get Jess.
Once a year. Yes. Every so often,
Exactly.
I mean, he's all of those things.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get when Jess comes into the studio.
I loved at the beginning, back in 1987, one of your earlier, there's so much of that Disney animation feel, but then you see how it evolves during the decades. And that was really fun to watch too, because
Well, it gives you a choice between maybe something that is as good and guiding to kids. This has always got good stories. They're well written.
Yeah.
They got, they got lessons in them, yet they're very entertaining and the characters are real. And the stories are always on the pulse of what kids are going through. The writing is so good. And for speaking for myself, it's like being the host, it's like I couldn't be more proud to say, "Hi, this is Chris," and open it the same way and say, "You sure you want me to stay? You sure you want me to be here again?"
You know what, though? What's really important is it's not just what Marshall was saying, that there was bad stuff on TV. It was more like we wanted to add more good stuff to media. And I think that was the thing. But also, and this really speaks to the cause that we're supporting here. When we started in 87, I had a nephew who had some spinal bifida, different things, and spent hours and days, months in the hospital. And I would send him these cassettes because these are things you don't have to see. You can listen to with your eyes closed. And people, families enjoy listening because you can take it on a car trip. It's not a danger to when you're driving to be watching something else. They listen while they're doing their homework. When they're at home, a lot of people going through treatment are at home. They can't go to school. They're dealing with stuff, or if they're in the hospital. So I know that Adventures in Odyssey has been huge for a lot of people who've had to deal with medical issues.
It's a really uplifting show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
Let me
radio play format. It's so well done. It is, like you said, Katie, you could literally just close your eyes and be there. It was so pretty. And Townsend, you are Whitaker, right? You voice Whitaker?
Oh no, he's
I wasn't with the dad. I play his son, Jason.
Oh,
Jason Whitaker. Yeah.
Okay.
He's the handsome Whitaker.
He's the other Whitaker. With as much, I'm hoping as much wisdom as Pops.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. He's
down,
really.
right?
He's a great. Kids love him.
Well, you know what? This just brings up a great point, because we've been told before that I hop on, there's familiarity. I love you all guys so much, and I just want to jump in, but I never give you guys a moment to say like what character you guys play, or not even on Adventures in Odyssey. I know you guys, that is your focus here, and thank you so much. No pun intended, focus on the family. But you all have had such amazing careers in voiceover. It's insane not to ask you to kind of share who are some of the other people that you've done on other shows, just because we have so many fans across the board.
Let me clarify something that I said earlier. I wasn't saying there was nothing good on Saturday morning cartoons. What you're about to hear is that there are some great stuff on Saturday morning, because
she directs a lot of it.
These guys have played it. That was just his. That was his.
Yeah, I get it. No, we know exactly where your heart was coming from, Marshall. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, Jess, jump in. Tell us.
Ladies first.
Ladies, Katie.
Okay, well, I'm Katie Lee, and I play Connie Kendall on Adventures in Odyssey, and I actually did come in like episode 6, I think, when the show started, and that's been wonderful. But prior to that, I worked with the same original cast on a show called Dumbo Circus on the Disney Channel. I was Dumbo's voice. Well, that's our show for today, boys and girls. I hope you liked it. And I also was Sunny Gummy on the Gummy Bears, Disney's Adventures of the Gummy Bears. I did Rolf the dog's voice on the original Muppet Babies. And I was Honker Buttlefoot's voice on Darkwing Duck. You can see him behind me here, kind of looking like this. I've done a lot of things. Alex and Totally Spies, where I met Jess, and from there I dragged him over to Adventures in Odyssey. Actually, I met him before that when we worked on Camp Candy with John Candy, but we hadn't really known each other. But I have video proof
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but we
true.
really got to know each other on Totally Spies, and I said, Jess, I got a show I want you to be on.
You gotta play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a huge blessing. I mean, as for me, Collette, we've known each other forever. It's so good to see you again today. I can't even tell you, but I've been very blessed. I worked on a bunch of stuff. My first big thing, I think, was doing Wacko on Animaniacs, which was a very popular show. Hello, nurse. This is Wacko from Animaniacs, better known as Jess Harnell. And it's very important that you guys visit 10kheroes.com and give generously to help wipe out childhood leukemia. If you don't, we're going to lock you in the water tower. And trust me, there's no way out. And that was very good. I'm the voice of Crash Bandicoot in the Crash Bandicoot video games. I'm the voice of Scary Terry on Rick and Morty. I'm the voice of Ironhide in the Transformers films and Spyro the Dragon and all kinds of stuff, man. See, whenever anybody asks me these questions, I always later on in the day I go, I forgot about those.
Right.
But it's
that's because
like
the
a
list
wash.
is too
It's
long. That's why it's hard to remember all 5,000 voices.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff.
You have to scroll a long time to look at Jess's IMDb page.
Well, that's very kind of you.
gosh.
But I'll add that I'll say, and this kind of pertains to what we were talking about earlier. The coolest thing about Adventures in Odyssey to me, and I want to hear everybody else's credits, of course, but is that there's all too few things that we do. Because Marshall, you're right. A lot of programming, we all know that some of the stuff we work on is great, and some of the stuff we work on isn't so great. You know what I mean?
Right.
But we're there and we're journeymen and we're there, we're making a living, and that's fine. But there are certain things that become a point of pride to you. There are certain things that you can look at and go, I'm really so proud that I got to be a small part of this, and that applies to Adventures in Odyssey very, very much because, religious stuff aside, and the religious stuff is handled beautifully in the show. It's never preachy. They never cram anything down anybody's throat. They just open ideas to people. But every episode of the show is inspiring. And it's enlightening, and it makes you feel a little better when it's over than it did when it started.
Yep.
And to me, that is the highest aspiration we can have. And then hand in hand with that, I've been announcing America's Funniest Home Videos for like 30 years. So I look at it like those two shows make up for all the crazy Cartoon Network and Comedy Central stuff that I've done in my career because they're so positive and they're so good for the whole family.
Right.
He makes you want to cry after he finishes. I don't know what it is. He just
I love you, Chris.
Everything makes you want to cry.
Not you.
Right.
What has somebody else been doing? Fill us in.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
And then Townie, you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been a voice actress for 40 years, and
she was only 2 when she started, folks. 2 years old.
Yeah.
And I've really loved my journey, and I've been blessed with a lot of different jobs, and I give God glory to all of them. The one that I really, enjoyed was being the voice of Barbie for many years. So cool. I was Barbie. So did that for a long time for Mattel, and did all their toys and games and dolls and stuff. And that was really a big chunk of my turning point in my career. But I have to say, Adventures in Odyssey, when they cast me, it was 1987. It was the first episode, and I sat in that chair. It still gets me. They handed me my script. I sat there and they described what they wanted, and they said, this is what we need for you to sound like. And I just felt like I was at the top of a roller coaster ride. It was like, I felt like, okay, here we go. And I just went down the ride, and halfway through the script, they stopped me and said, you're it. They just did it.
I love that.
And that's when I knew I was supposed to be a part of such an amazing show. And I think probably Adventures in Odyssey trumps everything as far as work for me. There is nothing more meaningful and more satisfying to know that kids, they look to us, all of us, as people that they want to talk to, share with, pour their hearts out with. And I think Katie knows, all of us, so we've made phone calls. I make phone calls to kids all the time for Adventures in Odyssey, just saying, hi, how's it going? Happy birthday, or your dog died, or how do you make friends? And it's like, what's better than that, than to be able to communicate to a kid because they trust you.
Yeah,
Adventures in Odyssey.
There's a comfort in your voice, all of your voices. That we kind of touched on that before when you, and not to cut you off, but I wanted just to hit on that fact that that soothing sound, the melody that you guys bring from your toes and your soul, to these characters are received.
That's
And
right.
then
I'm glad you cut her off because I was just drifting in. I was like falling into Chris's turtleneck. That's pretty
That's
shocking.
right, yeah.
Sweet here, let me smack you around a little bit.
Boy,
I do get to play parts on the show.
Townsend, tell them what you've done.
All right. Well, I'm Townsend Coleman. I came to LA 40 years ago last year from Cleveland, Ohio, and had no thoughts of ever doing cartoons. My goodness. And my agents 40 years ago sent me on an audition for a show called Inspector Gadget. And I ended up booking a little part on this cartoon. And I found myself in my first session in a studio with Maurice LaMarche, Frank Welker, and Don Adams, and me. And I was looking around, how in the world did this happen? This is crazy. But I had so much fun doing it. I asked my agents to please send me out on more of those kinds of auditions. They did, and I ended up started booking some shows and did some toy voices for Mattel there, Joe,
Why
years
would you
ago.
kin for me?
Yeah, right. And so that led to just a bunch of characters on a bunch of shows that I was Michelangelo on the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 35 years ago, back in '87 or however many years ago it was, and
the original?
Yeah,
the original.
The OG.
Hey, kudos.
Yeah, Ninja
we're
Turtles.
all OG.
The original to the Ninja Turtles. is
Make no
pretty.
mistake.
Yeah, no, good. That's
It's a franchise that wouldn't die. Going out to all kinds of Comic-Cons now on behalf of that. So I'm just eternally grateful for that opportunity, that show. And I was also the voice of the Tick. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
Sentinel Prime on Transformers Animated, and Where's Waldo, and just lots.
I love for you guys to sing your accolades because nobody ever really gets to sit there and tell me what, and then the things that pop into your head, even though I know you're going to go away and go, why didn't I mention this?
Hey, Joe, you work at Mattel, right?
I just wrapped up. I was a creative producer on Thomas and Friends, All Engines Go for 5 years.
Oh,
That's great.
Fabulous
That's great.
ride.
Because I don't know. When
Here.
Chris was Barbie's voice, I think I played Skipper's voice
wow.
for the talking Barbie dollhouse. So
let's see. Oh my gosh, Thomas the Train!
There we
I
go.
love Thomas.
That's Thomas.
Who painted that?
Right.
Painted that, Joe?
That's
Right? How
Thomas the
beautiful is
Tank
it?
Engine.
Yeah, so that was a new reboot of the show that we did for
Wait,
5
that
years.
face
great.
it looks like your face on that train.
Think so? Yeah.
When my grandkids
Mattel.
were little, they loved that show.
Wait,
Yeah.
Marshall
Great
play a little
I
bit.
was I was a turtle in my 5th grade production of the Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
And
Wait a
Stole
minute.
that show, buddy.
He's not getting off that
It was-
easy.
it was
He is
deep on the program.
You and
Deep on the
Marshall.
You and
program.
me, Marshall.
Don't
you
make
know?
me come over there and tell you. I want you to share some of the things you've done and movie wise.
Ooh,
Uh,
do tell.
Yeah, I mean, I've written 6 movies,
Yes.
16, I think 15, 16 books, some plays, some
Really?
television,
Yes.
Awesome.
Name a
and
book.
almost
Name a show, a movie.
about 200 episodes of Odyssey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
He was just gonna sit there and do
How
nothing.
many
And that's
of these-
so
It
that's
kind of
a
makes what I did today seem inconsequential.
Yes.
that's right.
Marshall.
Marshall, that's a 5th of the shows that we do. We celebrated our 1,000th episode last summer,
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna
and he
say.
wrote 200 of them.
You know, I think Mr. Whitaker would say that one of the commands of Jesus is to help the sick, and visit the poor, and to feed the widows and feed the orphans, and I just know that Odyssey fans are generous people, just like Jess was saying, and I know that we can count on you.
You produced 1,000.
Over 1,000 now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes. Gosh,
Yeah,
we're
about
so
1,020
young.
now.
Yeah.
If anybody knows animation, that's never.
Yeah.
Well, think
Yeah,
about it,
right.
Collette. If somebody asked you, they said, "Okay, Colette, tell us about yourself. What have you done?"
Yeah. Come on.
That's
It's like,
true.
you know,
Well, it's not about me. It's about
I
That's
know, but it's
right.
like
We have
it's
never
hard to
come
do
on,
that.
Tell
Collette.
us about you, Colette.
No, I was trying to think about what you were doing when you were talking about when you joined in the early 90s and I started oh my gosh, Jess, you probably were one of my very first, if Townsend, if you weren't, because I know that you were at Hanna-Barbera as well, Katie, Chris, all.
Yeah,
Hanna-Barbera
I think everybody's first show was at Hanna-Barbera.
That's right.
Who came in the business in the 80s, and I started in 83, so yeah.
Yep.
You cast me as a bank teller in one of your shows. It was a bank teller. I was just so green and young, and I go, "Am I okay?" You're okay.
I remember a great statement I heard when I first got into the industry, like 1995, and Warner Brothers and Hanna-Barbera were starting to blend together, and they said, everybody in the industry comes through Hanna-Barbera.
That's right.
It was just the way everyone comes through, and
that's college for
right.
Hands down, both in the booth, out of the booth, creatives, producers, writers, runners, ink and paint. I mean, we were a family. It was such a sweet, and to walk through those halls.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was a whole entire entity. We weren't
Mm-hmm.
segregated. So you go in and you go, yeah, I'm a part of this whole deal.
Yes. Yes, they made you, and you got to, and the cells up on the walls were your childhood. It was just
That's right.
The cells on the wall.
Hey, Collette, I got to tell you, one of the thrills of my life was when I first moved to town, so I had just gotten that part on Inspector Gadget. My agent sent me on a general audition over at Hanna-Barbera, and Andrea Romano was running that, and so. And Andrea and I really hit it off after that. And she said to me as I was leaving, she said, "You've never been here before, right?" And I said, "No, but I grew up on these cartoons. Oh my gosh, And so she said, "Well, if you want, Dawes Butler is going to be doing one of his specials this coming Friday, and you're welcome to come and watch." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? I get to see Yogi Bear and Huckleberry Hound."
Flintstone, yes.
This is
oh
crazy. So I did that, and Doss walked in, and I was so starstruck. Oh my gosh! And when he opened his mouth, and his natural speaking voice, at least to me, sounded so much like Huckleberry Hound.
He doesn't move. He never moved. He just sat there and all this
And I was just, that was just, I mean, that
yourself?
had me just hooked.
Done. I have a similar story. I'll be really fast because when I took over the department at Hanna-Barbera, and again, yes, it was Gordon Hunt. I mean, Mr. Barbera used to jump in the booth and direct, and then Gordon Hunt. I was the last of the Hanna-Barbera recording department directors, and was taught the Hanna-Barbera way. So, and so there's a lot of similarities, although we're also different, but Chris Zimmerman and Jenny McSwain and Andre Romano and myself and Gordon. I mean, how humble am I to have been part of that legacy? Thank you, God, for that. And I still remember Mr. Barbera coming in and saying to me, "The dog, he doesn't talk." Scooby-Doo. Because our renditions on Scooby, they kept trying to get the dog to talk. And so the whole reason why you had Shaggy was to translate, right? And he said, "Collette, the dog does not talk," because everybody kept giving him more and more words.
That's so funny. You guys were so welcoming because I came before I moved down I moved down in 81, and Jenny McSwain was directing there. Wow. And I said I was coming from, and they was so open back then, and she invited me to watch a Flintstones recording.
Right.
And I'll never, and this is why I just love our community so much. You guys have probably heard me tell the story, but Russi Taylor was playing Pebbles, and I'm watching, and I'm like, this is so great just to watch. Like she just took for granted that I was going to be a voice actor because I just graduated from college. And so afterwards we're standing outside, outside the door, and Rusi came out, and I thought, oh, she's going to think I'm competition. She's going to hate me. She's not going to like me. And Rusi was so
Rusi.
sweet. I said, well, I'm moving down from San Francisco. She goes, well, come on down. There's plenty of work for everyone. And just, oh my gosh, she made me feel so welcome. And so I just take that with me since day one. That
The Rusi Taylor hugs, man. They were the best.
Colette, did you do Johnny Bravo there?
Yeah.
That's okay. That's what I was trying to remember. What haven't you done?
That's when we started with all the cartoon just prior when I met Joe. Because when I met Joe at
Oh, you mean Joe?
Scooby-Doo is
you can see on my wall back here.
Joe, you were at Hanna-Barbera also?
Well, I was at Warner Brothers, and then Hanna-Barbera and Warner Brothers got blended together, and so Mr. Barbera was right down the hall. Iwo Takamoto was right across the hall from me as we were working. I was in my early 30s doing these Scooby-Doo, direct-to-video movies, these DVD movies in the era of DVDs when it was killing, right?
Yeah.
We were having the best time, and then I met Collette, and here's a funny Collette story. My script and my storyboard was about 15 minutes longer than runtime, and she'll never forget the day in the booth she turned around at me and said, "Cut the movie. When we get back here tomorrow, I want this thing 15 minutes shorter."
That's a lot.
Don't you own a stopwatch? I mean, most people back then you would do a stopwatch, right? I'm so rude.
So,
The secret was I didn't know what I was
writing
doing.
or animating over there, Joe?
I was writing, producing, and directing. I was doing
That's all?
Yeah.
Everyone.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
It was sort of like the head chef and lead dishwasher was the approach.
Were you working on Pound Puppies too? Was that there? That was another studio.
I don't know where that was.
Is
I
that
don't know.
Ruby Spears?
But
Yeah,
I
it might have
think
been.
Townsend was talking about meeting DOS. Once I took over the studio or the department there, I had the utmost pleasure and honor of having lunch with Janet Waldo, Jean Vanderpyle, and Penny Singleton. Singleton and their agent. And we were, of course, at the smokehouse. And I remember of course, right?
Don Pitts, right?
Don Pitts. Thank you. Thank you, Katie. Don Pitts. Oh, what an agent. And I remember sitting there and looking around at all the people that, hundreds of people around and thinking, I am sitting with royalty.
Right.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows how much they should be, thanking this radio play era that we came from, because they did all of those amazing talent, our childhood, my childhood. They didn't have a ton of people doing voices. They had their stock people, right? They had the Dos Butlers, the Don Messick's, the Jean, the Janet. Oh, Janet. She also worked on your show, I remember
Oh,
seeing.
she did. She was so funny. Every time you mentioned Joe Barbera, she'd say, he was so handsome.
Yeah. He had that effect on many, many people.
Yeah. She was just like, she couldn't mention him without swooning.
Well, yeah, that's Mr. Barbera. I mean, they were a good pair, Mr. Hannah and Mr. Barbera. Barbera was a salesman. Hannah was the taskmaster. He's the one that ran that studio and kept it going. And I only knew him in his elder years, when he would be up on the third floor, the only office up on the third floor at Hannah. And then on Fridays it was popcorn day, and you would hear him get over the speaker going, "All right, whoever's got the popcorn, bring it up to the man." And
he intimidated me. I just remember.
he intimidated every employee.
I was in a session. This is probably early 90s, and Sylvester Stallone was doing something, and I was all starstruck and trying to not look at him, and and it's like Mr. Barbera came in and said, "Oh, blah, blah, he's talking to him." And I'm just kind of sitting there going, like, hey, and I was like a little fly, but I was in the session. I was so nervous. I went home and I told my dad, I go, "Dad, do you know who I worked with today?" My dad goes, "Did he get your autograph?"
Yeah.
I love your dad.
That's so sweet. That's so
You don't
sweet.
get it. I was supposed to impress you.
I'm pretty impressed with you, my
That's a
baby.
really
My
good
dad,
point.
At Hanna-Barbera, I played Gargamel's godniece,
And Smurfs.
Denisa. Yeah, in the Smurfs. I had all these little parts, even the Mork and Mindy cartoon. Now, this is funny. They did a Mork and Mindy. I thought, oh boy, this is great. Like Chris, I thought, I'm going to get to work with Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams. And I came in and I was by myself.
Oh, boo.
And I was really bummed out. And then I told my boss, because I had a day job at the time, that I got this part in the show. So they fired me because they said, well, I guess we can't count on you to come to work. And then I only did one episode. I'm like, okay, what's next? And luckily some other things took off
Jonathan
after that.
Winters would go out in the middle of a session where the truck would come, the jump truck, and hold court. And everybody kind of knew who was in the booth. There was no one inside the buildings. Everybody was out, and he would go on and on. I mean, like you're pulling him back into the booth. But I mean, talk about pinch yourself, right?
Yeah, those
Jonathan
moments,
Winters.
yeah.
Dom
Amazing.
DeLuise.
I have to ask about what we're here for. I'm going to just kind of switch gears if you guys don't mind. It's like I'm going to call out to all the Adventures in Odyssey fans out there.
Good.
All the kids, all the parents, all the people that were raised on Adventures in Odyssey, and you know who you are. And we're asking you as something that hopefully will be on your heart to donate for this cause, for these kids, for this very reason we're here today, to ask you guys to be a part of this. And I'm not very good at this. You can tell I'm stumbling around, but from my heart, from all of our hearts, we need for you guys to be as generous as
hero.
You can be, and to give and help this cause. This is so important. This is somebody you might have known, like you all have had people in your lives that have faced this horrible disease. And so please find it in your heart.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah. Go ahead, Jess.
Well, Tony, you first, please.
I was just going to say, as Joe was saying earlier, this organization, 10K Heroes, as he was explaining, 10,000, if you come up with 10,000 people who each gave $100 each, that's $1 million. And I know $100 sounds like a lot of money to a lot of people. It is a lot of money. But maybe if you kids or you with your brothers or sisters or with your mom and dad, your family members, could figure out a way to maybe just try and raise some money there locally from family and friends. I don't know. Maybe you have maybe you have a lemonade stand, or you're just knocking on doors. But yeah, if you could see a way to gather your friends and family together to try and cobble together $100, that would be amazing.
And put yourself in the place of, and I know Jess has something to say, but if anything ever happened to you, wouldn't it be wonderful to just be able to take a pill and not have to have injections or things going in your veins?
And that's what this new technology is all about.
Yeah. It's really exciting. And the good news is, Chris, I have no doubt that the Odyssey folks will step up, because Odyssey fans are like a different breed. We meet so many wonderful people through Adventures in Odyssey. And to give you an example of the kind of people that they are, and that's why I know you guys are going to reach out and help out. We did a cruise. I'll never forget this. Now, we did a cruise for Adventures in Odyssey on a Disney cruise line several years ago. I don't know, maybe 5-7 years ago, something like that. And it was sold out. It was very, very popular. Tons and tons of people that were there. Now, believe it or not, I come from a rock and roll background. I know you'd never believe that. Looking at me.
So hard to believe.
I know it's crazy. Now, I've done rock cruises before, and let's just say this was a completely different experience with a completely different mindset. And what happened, I think it was on like the first night of the cruise, I guess some kids figured out which cabin on the boat was my cabin. Now, before you jump to conclusions, this is where it gets interesting. I woke up the next morning and I left my room, and there were about 5 notes and cards taped to my door. Nobody knocked. Nobody banged on the door. Nobody made a fuss, but there were these 5 cards. So the next day, there were about 30 of them. And the day after that, the entire door was covered with cards and artwork and stuff like that from kids.
Did I spell your name right?
Yes, you did. And they were mostly from Chris, but some kids wrote stuff too. And the point is that these people, it's like in the wrong hands. If somebody finds out how to get to you on a boat like that, you got nowhere to run except off your balcony. But they couldn't have been kinder. They couldn't have been more respectful and more polite. And guys, I know you'll do the right thing for this thing, because that's the kind of people that you are. I've met so many of you. We all have. And this is a really important thing to do. And it's a thing worth doing. So I know we can count on you.
Yeah.
Well,
That's so
it's
great.
10,000
I
it's
never
10
heard that story.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I still got them all. I got a big like folder full of them. I kept
And
them.
his lovely wife keeps telling him to take them off the door. I'm sick of looking at them.
Yes, we can't see the in the bathroom mirror anymore because they're all.
So if you're
Yeah.
wondering how to help, 10kheroes.com. And here's another thing that's kind of really exciting. It's actually Dare to Dream week, the whole week after Mother's Day. So we're doing this YouTube-a-thon, 24-hour live stream on Saturday and Sunday, and then that Monday, this whole Dare to Dream week. So we're kind of the kickoff of a whole week of focus just on this particular fundraising campaign. So
That's awesome.
10kheroes.com.
Yeah.
And let's get back to what do we really think that the fans of Adventures in Odyssey would want to know about the cast behind the scenes? Now, do they see you guys? Right now?
Marshall.
Is this really
Marshall's got to
behind
be the keeper, right, Joe? Marshall's got to be the keeper of all the secrets.
Yeah.
Oh,
I-
yeah.
I do have a lot of secrets. Yes.
Wait, here's money if you
I-
don't
I
tell
cannot-
mine.
I cannot reveal it under. Yeah, I get in a lot of trouble if I told you all that I know. But yeah, I just we've got some great stuff coming up. We've got some every person in this chat has storylines that are coming their way. So we've got a lot of excitement in the future. We're not
Mrs.
done
Randolph,
now.
is she coming? Mrs. Randolph?
We'll come up with some stuff for Mrs. Randolph.
I want to ask Joe if he could even wrap his brain around 1,000 episodes of writing and producing and all that, and then still being that equally as excited about the things that are coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, you guys? Because we've all been on series where you can see things are being kind of like, ooh, you know?
We just did 150 episodes of Thomas, and by the end, we're like, I just can't think of another train.
Right.
Sure he can. Well, it's the producing of all of it. Our Foley is top notch.
The music,
the
sound effects,
music,
everything. It just,
really
music,
Well,
the Foley,
the
cool
acting.
that
I
you stayed with the format.
don't underestimate the acting. I mean,
Oh.
our the quality of acting we have is just superb and
Obviously.
top notch. I mean, you guys are top of the game.
There's something really delicious about that. You guys stuck with the format. It didn't become animation.
Right.
It didn't fall into sort of it could be tempting to try to fill it out more, but to keep that audio.
You know something interesting, Joe, that kind of pertains back to what Collette was talking about earlier. It's the only show that I do, and I'd probably speak for my friends here as well, where we still do big group records. We all go in. Yeah, Collette, I see your expression. Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh, Collette, yeah.
And first of all,
that's your lane. That's
without
your lane.
casting aspersions to any of the other stuff that I'm extremely blessed to work on, the writing for this show is so excellent. It's funny and it's moving and it's insightful. It makes you think and it makes you feel, which is even more important. But we all get together in a room and do a show. We do a show together.
Yeah.
And you get a different, I know you guys would agree with me, you get a different energy. It's fine when we work alone, which I do 98% of the time. And you still get good stuff. Plus you get to have Chinese food sooner because you're out quicker. But this thing is fun because you play off each other and things happen.
It's so much better. It's
And
so
Collette,
this
Collette knows
week
exactly what I'm talking about.
we went into the studio and Rebecca Davis, was there and we don't see each other. We used to see each other when we went to work and now we don't. We go there and we just want to touch everybody. It's like, it's a real,
and you can get in trouble
experience.
for that, Katie. So knock it off.
I know. I'm willing to take that risk.
That love that's in the room when we get together and we start a record and we're goofing around.
Yes.
That was actually the birth of this idea. Is like, what if we could bottle that fun? Well, really was like, there's 10 minutes of screwing around and then we have to get to work. What if we didn't have to get to work? What if we just kept screwing around? That's sort of the hard.
I'm always the taskmaster at saying, okay, we gotta go. You know, or even when you're in the booth, I have Jess and I have Rob and I've got Jeff Bennett and I've got, these guys, and all of a sudden there's competition and they're one-upping. And I want to sit back and watch the show.
well, that's
we just
Collette.
get
That's
beat
me
off of
too.
each other.
I sit back. I sit back and watch the show too. I
No,
can't
but
keep up with.
I
I can't
can't.
keep up with those guys.
I can't let them keep going. Are you kidding? I wish, but
Right.
I have, I got to get it done.
Well,
Yeah, but
speaking of being a taskmaster, I've got to go to
Oh,
something
Katie.
else, but I'm so blessed. You guys, listen to what these people are saying. Help with this cause. How wonderful if we could change the lives and the way people are treated when they get leukemia or any of these blood diseases. If we could make it easier on people and more successful, we could be a part of that. So thanks for watching and
you,
joining
Katie.
us. I'll see you guys later.
Hey, Katie, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Katie.
Bye.
Hey,
And
Katie.
I just-
Hey, guys. We're really trying to wipe out childhood leukemia, and we're on the verge of some great breakthroughs technologically and medically. And if you go to 10kheroes.com, it would be a huge help as we're trying to get this drive going, just to raise all the funds that we can to try and really put it toward this research and end this really tough disease.
Yeah, but you know what, Collette? I'll say this: working with you, I always used to equate it was you got the job done, but it was still like going to camp, man. You made it
Yes.
fun. You're
So
always such a
good.
blast, and when you never, when you see your name on the schedule, you're like, oh, that'll be a fun one, and that's very
Thank
true.
you. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I always used to say, if my talent is if they're supported, they feel safe, they know that they can do no wrong in any decision that they make, because I'm going to support them and nudge and hip check if necessary. And if they're behind with smiles and my line producer is okay with timing, I am doing something right. But it
Right,
always felt
right.
like, my goodness, you really didn't feel it until, COVID, and we were all on Zooms, and we think that Zoom is great. I mean, compared to not recording,
Yeah.
let's go with Zooms.
Of course.
I mean, the week after COVID hit and we got shut down, I had 14 people on a Zoom call, and we ran a script from one to last.
Wow, did you really?
And it was, oh yeah. I mean, the beautiful thing about it is we had a couple records together.
Yeah.
And so that's always so important on a show, is to make sure that the first few, at least you have them together so everybody knows what to expect. So when they're in the booth by themselves, I don't need to be giving them or feeding them that much line, because they can almost hear the other character,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that isn't always the case. I don't understand
I know where you're
the
going.
madness behind
Yeah.
that not having you all in the booth together.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
The magic
it's
is
more
missing.
efficient. I agreed. That is one of my.
Joe, why weren't you there when I was at Mattel? Why? How come it's like I was in the old days? I mean, I didn't get to
passing
meet
in the
you.
night, Chris. Yeah, ships pass. Well, all good things in time.
Okay, fine, all right.
Well, you have to show them how to do it, Chris, to allow.
right.
I mean, I just finished a Hot Wheels series with Mattel.
Oh,
Did you really?
So you have to, you had to start them. You had to show them how to do it.
yes.
Show 'em
I
how
remember
to
walking through Mattel and they all those cubicles full of toys, and they told
yeah.
me don't look at any of the toys being made, or and I would walk through, and it's like you could see like Hot Wheels up on the shelf, and you could see little Barbie heads and different the Transformers and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
He said, don't look at anything.
Did,
Yeah, right. So I'm walking through, and I see this big, gigantic, like Barbie. She's like a statue, and I went, oh, and I remember in my heart getting so excited, thinking, I can't do that, and just it was magical going through the whole watching the industry making the toys. And
Well, you know what? That's why we're all so blessed to be doing what we do, because we get to contribute. The best compliment I ever receive, and I'm sure you guys agree, is people come up and they go, "Man, you were my childhood."
that's right.
And the best part about it, by perpetuating our careers for as long as, again, we've been blessed to do, I'm your childhood and I'm your kid's childhood, and there's a good chance I'm going to be involved in your grandkids' childhood.
That's right.
Now, I got a question. I got a challenge for Chris and for Tony, for the AIO fans that are watching this thing, because I know we're getting close to the end of the rainbow. If you guys could pick a favorite Adventures in Odyssey memory or moment that stands out, I bet you the people that love this show would love to hear one.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you, the one that comes to my mind is not an actual episode or a recording session that we had, but one of the wonderful things about Adventures in Odyssey, it's given us the opportunity to meet a lot of really amazing people.
Yeah.
And through Focus on the Family specifically, they work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation a lot. And I'll never forget that there was this young man. When I say young man, he was a boy. He was 11 years old. His name was Jason, which is crazy because that's the name of the character that I play on Odyssey.
Mhm.
But what made it even crazier was his last name was Townsend.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so here you got Jason Townsend. He's an 11-year-old boy and he has leukemia. And he through the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he wanted to go to Colorado Springs to see where they made Adventures in Odyssey. And he wanted to meet some of the cast. So I went to Colorado Springs to meet this boy. And what a precious, precious time to meet his family, his siblings, to meet him, of course, and be able to spend the day with him. And just hear what the work that we do, that I was doing on the show, meant to them and specifically to him. And I was speechless. I didn't know what to say. My heart was just pounding in my chest with love and admiration for this little 11-year-old boy who had leukemia. And sorry to say that, he died several years later. But boy, I'll tell you, Collette, my heart just goes out to you,
Yeah.
you and your family. But I mean that
I
I
have to
wouldn't have
jump
had that
on that.
opportunity if it weren't for Adventures in Odyssey.
I
That's
have to jump
beautiful.
in on that, Townsend, because the Make-A-Wish Foundation, it is amazing. I mean, it goes without me even having to say a word. But the fact is, and I want to point this out, is that that child had a choice of what their wish was. So doesn't that speak volumes?
Yes, it does.
And
See that, man?
Yes, it does.
he
Well,
is that kind of
we've
guy.
gotten many times we've got kids that are sick and they're going through treatments and the one thing that comforted them was Odyssey. And we've gotten that dozens of times.
And you know what, Marshall? You probably did that with words you wrote, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
man.
Well
That's pretty
said.
beautiful.
That's a very humbling thing to think about. But
That is very sweet, Jess. Thank you for pointing that out,
There
because
is.
a lot of times we think of, they go to the cons and they don't want to see the people behind the scenes. They want to see the voices, the people that do. And that's why I loved when, Chris said, no, Marshall's coming. I was like, yes, because like Joe and I are both behind the scenes. So we appreciate everything. It takes a village.
Oh, we're
Sure.
nothing
Sure
without
does.
those guys, man. Whenever anybody comes up and is at all impressed with one of the characters, they'll go, "Oh, you're Cedric on Sophia the Great or Sophia the First," and I'm like, "Yeah, me and like 40 other people," because I do the voice,
I
but
love
like
him.
20 people write it and 40 more people draw it, and then they put music behind it, and it's all making that character shine. But it's definitely
Right.
absolutely not just me. Chris, what about you? Do you have a memory, an AIO memory
So
that's
sweet. I
beautiful?
just love this guy. He's the real deal.
I
Okay,
know.
just pretend like he can't hear me, but I really do. There's just so many things come in my head because one, thank you for asking this question. Just this means a lot to me. I was recording, because I do the wraps in the show. I do the beginning and the end,
Yeah.
and I'm talking to the kids. And there was one time that they had written the opening. Maybe it was you, Marshall. I don't know. And I was encouraging the kids and talking about the show, and there's a really great scripture in there. And I had a pretty rough day, and I'm not, I come in and we all do our job, and it was like it was heavy on my heart, and I'm reading it, and all of a sudden the words that were written meant something for me.
Oh, wow.
It was that all this time I am speaking to the kids, encouraging them, and the very things that I try to impart for them, it went to me, and I went, wow. It was so heavy, so deep. I started kind of crying because I thought, this is what the kids feel. This is what they're listening to. It became so real to me that I thought, I spent all this time trying to make them hear and feel the right way. I thought it hit me and had the same impact on me.
Wow.
What a blessing that you got to feel what you did for so many thousands.
Yeah. And there's a little girl
Hundreds of thousands of
I told you guys recently, is just now going through a cancer journey right now, and her name is Anna, and I've been corresponding with her for about 3 years because Adventures in Odyssey had me call her for one call. And she went through brain cancer and they amputated her leg and her pelvis, all the stuff. And she's struggling. And every time I call, we're on this little video, we're talking together, and I'm trying to give her the words, just to encourage her and stuff. And just recently, now this fundraiser is here again, and Anna is right at the threshold of having to go through some major things. And it became so big in my mind. I am literally trying to change this little girl's future and all other little kids' future.
When you stop and think about what Joe shared with us earlier, it's not just pills instead of pokes. It's a pill that will go in and seek out what it needs to destroy without having to destroy everything good.
Wow. Love that.
Like a heat-seeking missile, just right
heat-seeking missile going
to that point.
Which is, I can't tell you how monumental, because 21 days after chemo, you are depressed. Your whole system, your immunity, everything is gone because they can't kill the bad only.
And this what really shook me was I realized when the LLS explained to me that they're using kid-sized dosage of adult treatments, and there's like debilitating side effects 20, 30 years later. Your kidneys are shot, your liver's shot. So there are kids, people who survived childhood leukemia and end up passing away later in life from the treatment. The treatment kills you. Ultimately, it's barbaric.
God bless you for what you're doing with this thing. It's so cool, man. It really is. Best of luck.
Thank you. We'll be at Salami Studios on Saturday doing interviews. Hop on by. It's 24 hours. Come and see us.
Hop on by. It's a party. It's an open house. It's a party.
And it's 24 hours.
Like 10.
24-hour live stream. And we're going to get to take a nap because you guys did this.
Oh, so good.
Hey, can we blow kisses? Can we blow kisses?
Yes, of course.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.